What if I told you that the most powerful foods are disappearing from our tables while we buy industrial products that didn't even exist 50 years ago? Food that fed prophets and entire civilizations. Foods that appear in sacred texts, that saved peoples from famine, that built empires. But today almost nobody knows them. And what I'm about to reveal could completely change the way you eat. Stay until the end because number 8 appears 57 times in the Bible with properties that science is barely rediscovering now. And number 12 is so powerful that a single serving has more antioxidants than 3 cups of blueberries, and almost nobody grows it anymore. Hit that subscribe button because every week we reveal foods that the food industry prefers you forget. Number 1. Carob. Carob, Ceratonia siliqua, saved John the Baptist in the desert. Many scholars believe that the locusts he ate were actually carob pods because in Greek the words are similar. It makes perfect sense. The pods are sweet, nutritious, and grow exactly where John preached. Studies confirm that carob is rich in fiber, calcium, iron, and antioxidants. No caffeine or oxalates like cocoa. You can eat the whole pods or use the powder like chocolate. It disappeared when refined sugar became cheap, but it keeps growing on century-old trees. It's the food that sustained prophets. Number 2. Pomegranates. Punica granatum appears in Solomon's temple decorating bronze columns. It appears on the high priest's garments. Jews believe that each pomegranate contains exactly 613 seeds, the same number of commandments in the Torah. It was so sacred it represented fertility, abundance, and divine blessing. But forget the symbolism and look at the science. Pomegranates contain punica ligands, antioxidants 3 times more powerful than green tea. Research shows they reduce blood pressure, improve heart health, and have neuroprotective effects. The arils burst with sweet tart flavor, loaded with vitamin C and potassium. We forgot pomegranates because they're messy to eat, they stain everything. But that effort is exactly what makes eating them a conscious, almost meditative act. It's the fruit that forces you to slow down and pay attention. Number 3. Lentils. Here's the food for which Esau sold his birthright. Genesis 25. Esau comes home hungry from hunting, smells Jacob's red lentil stew, and literally trades his birthright, his entire inheritance, for a bowl. It sounds ridiculous until you understand how powerful they are. Lens culinaris has 10,000 years of history. One cooked cup has 18 grams of protein, 16 of fiber, folate, iron, magnesium, and zinc. Studies show they reduce cholesterol and stabilize blood sugar. Red ones cook in 15 minutes without soaking. In India, dal is daily food. In the Middle East, mujadara combines lentils and rice in a dish so perfect it's called food of the poor and kings. Lentils were forgotten when meat became cheap, but entire cultures built civilizations eating them. They cost pennies and need no refrigeration. Esau knew something we forgot. Number 4. Amaranth. Now we're entering truly fascinating territory. Amaranthus, was so sacred to the Aztecs they used it in religious ceremonies. They made statues of their gods by mixing amaranth with honey and blood and ate them as communion. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived, they completely banned amaranth. It wasn't just military conquest, it was nutritional. They destroyed amaranth fields and punished anyone who grew it. Why? Because they knew a well-fed people is hard to conquer. Amaranth is a complete protein with all 9 essential amino acids, something extremely rare in plants. It has more calcium than milk, more iron than spinach. Research shows it reduces inflammation and improves cardiovascular health. The grains can be cooked like cereal or popped like popcorn. It disappeared because conquistadors banned it and because it's hard to harvest mechanically. It's the food an empire tried to erase because it knew its power. Number 5. Figs. Ficus carica is the first food mentioned in the Bible. Genesis 3. After eating from the forbidden tree, Adam and Eve sow fig leaves to cover themselves. Figs appear more than 50 times in Scripture. Jesus curses a barren fig tree. Moses' spies return from Canaan with figs as proof of fertile land. Figs are loaded with fiber, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Studies suggest they help with constipation and improve bone health. Fresh ones are soft and sweet, dried ones intensely caramelized. They almost disappeared because they're delicate and don't travel well. The industry prefers fruits that last weeks in trucks. But a freshly picked fig from the tree, warm from the sun, has no comparison. It's the fruit that clothed humanity and can still feed us. Number 6. Millet. Panicum miliaceum has been cultivated for 10,000 years. It fed China before rice and the Roman Empire. It grows where almost nothing survives, tolerates drought and extreme heat. It has more protein than rice, more fiber than wheat, and is naturally gluten-free. Rich in magnesium, phosphorus, and B vitamins. Studies show low glycemic index. It helps control diabetes. It cooks fluffy like rice or creamy like polenta. It disappeared when it was relegated to bird food. We literally sell millet as birdseed while buying expensive refined grains. It's the grain that fed empires. If you're starting to see the pattern, if you're realizing how much nutritional wisdom we've lost, hit that like button right now. Subscribe and turn on notifications because every week we uncover foods the industry prefers you forget. Now let's get to the last ones that are absolutely incredible. Number 7. Quince. Cydonia oblonga might be the original fruit of the Garden of Eden. Many scholars believe the forbidden apple was actually a quince because quinces grew abundantly in the Fertile Crescent while apples didn't. It was the golden fruit of the Greeks, symbol of love and fertility. Aphrodite carried them. But here's the thing. Quinces can't be eaten raw. They're hard, astringent, almost inedible fresh. You have to cook them. And when you do, they transform completely into something magical. They turn pink, fragrant, sweet, and tender. They become quince paste, dense paste eaten with cheese. They're rich in fiber, vitamin C, and tannins with anti-inflammatory effects. They disappeared because they require effort. You can't just bite them. Modern culture wants instant convenience, but that transformation process is exactly what makes them special. It's the fruit that teaches patience and rewards effort. Number 8, and this is the one I teased you about. Dates. Phoenix dactylifera was called the tree of life in Mesopotamia. It appears 57 times in the Bible. They grow in desert oases where almost nothing survives. A single date palm can produce 100 kilos of fruit per year for 100 years. Fresh dates were so valuable they served as currency. Jews have a specific blessing for eating dates for the first time each year. And nutritionally, they're explosive. They have more potassium than bananas, magnesium, copper, manganese, and vitamin B6. Recent studies show that eating them in the last weeks of pregnancy facilitates childbirth, reduces the need for induction, and shortens labor. Medjool are large, soft, and caramelized. Traditionally, they were eaten as natural candy, stuffed with nuts or cheese. They were marginalized when refined sugar flooded the market. We were trained to fear natural fruit sugar while eating kilos of processed sugar. Dates are sweetness that comes with nutrition, with fiber, with minerals. They're the candy that nature perfected. Number 9. Turnip. Brassica rapa fed Europe before potatoes. They literally fed entire continents. In the Middle Ages, they were stored in cellars to survive winter. When potatoes arrived, they were abandoned almost overnight. They're rich in vitamin C, fiber, calcium, and potassium. The greens have vitamins A, C, and K. They're cruciferous with glucosinolates linked to cancer reduction. You can roast them, mash them, or eat them raw. They were forgotten by cultural prejudice. We decided they were inferior. But they're nutritious, low glycemic index, and easy to grow. They fed Europe and deserve respect. Number 10. Parsnip. Pastinaca sativa was Europe's sweet vegetable before sugar. In the Middle Ages, before there was access to cane sugar, parsnips were used to sweeten cakes and desserts. Imagine that, cakes made with root vegetables. Parsnips are relatives of carrots but paler, sweeter, with more complex flavor. They're rich in fiber, vitamin C, folic acid, and pectin that reduces cholesterol. Roasted, they develop deep caramelized sweetness. You can mash them like potatoes or cut them into chips. They disappeared when refined sugar became cheap and orange carrots became popular. Parsnips seemed like pale, boring carrots in comparison. But that pale color hides deep flavor. It's the vegetable that sweetened life before sugar. Number 11. Sorrel. Rumex acetosa has a sour, citrusy flavor. It's so rich in vitamin C that sailors ate it to prevent scurvy. The leaves have bright acidity from oxalic acid. Sorrel soup is classic in France and Russia. It contains antioxidants with anti-inflammatory effects. It disappeared because we stopped cooking with sour herbs. We started using lemon for everything. But sorrel has a unique flavor you can't replicate. It's the herb that made food shine. Number 12. Hyssop. And we reach the end, the one I saved to close because it represents everything we've talked about. Hyssopus officinalis appears in the Bible more than a dozen times. Exodus 12, the Israelites use hyssop branches to mark doors with lamb's blood at Passover. Psalm 51, purify me with hyssop and I shall be clean. At the crucifixion, they offer Jesus vinegar on a hyssop branch. It's not just an herb, it's a symbol of spiritual and physical purification. And it turns out modern science validates exactly that. It contains essential oils with proven antimicrobial, antiviral, and antifungal properties. Studies show effects against respiratory bacteria and viruses. It's used for cough, congestion, and as an antiseptic. Here's what's profound. Hyssop shows how ancient knowledge, spiritual use, and scientific validation converge. The ancients didn't have microscopes, but knew it cleaned and healed. Thousands of years later, science says, yes, they were right, this works. It was forgotten when we stopped seeing plants as medicine. But for anyone seeking to reconnect with ancestral traditions backed by real science, hyssop keeps growing. It's the sacred food that purifies the body and reminds us of our connection to thousands of years of wisdom. 12 foods, thousands of years of history, nutrition that modern science is barely beginning to understand. And we almost threw it all away for processed convenience. Leave me a comment. Which one surprised you most? Are you Team Carob, Team Lentils, or Team Dates? Share this video with someone who's tired of industrial food and ready to eat like our ancestors ate, with intention, with knowledge, with respect. Subscribe and turn on notifications because every week we rescue foods the food industry prefers you forget. Remember, the best medicine has always been on your plate. We just had to remember where to look. See you in the next one.